Hello, hello, fabulous mystical souls. I just had a really amazing one-to-one soul expansion session for a client and a beautiful soul sister of mine. So the first thing I do after any time I share psychic work or metaphysical healing, I always come out into nature. That is my absolute non-negotiable, because I find that when we do this work, our energy field becomes so expanded, and it can feel really intense and overwhelming to be in a material structure. It can almost feel like a prison, can make me feel like I'm going crazy if I stay inside. Whereas when I'm out in the nature, in this gorgeous wildflower meadow, all of that energy can just expand and flow, but also get that real grounding back into the earth, and you can breathe and wonderful. So I thought it would be the perfect opportunity for me to share this week's episode of Wandering and Pondering, because when I'm walking, oh my goodness, can you hear the sound of the crickets? Oh, that is just the sound of summer to me. Sorry, I had to pause there because I'm just so enchanted by English summers. But as I was saying, whenever I walk on my own, I'm always having such in-depth conversations with myself. So it feels lovely to share out loud and just see where the words flow when actually spoken outwardly rather than just spoken inwardly. And this is so exciting. I was not expecting this at all, but when I stepped out on my walk, I was blessed by the fairy gods and goddesses, by some fresh blackberries. For those of you who are watching who are not from England, oh my goodness, Blackberry season in England is so exciting. Freshly picked blackberries off the brambles in England are literally the sweetest, most divine little blessings that you can put on your taste buds. I am like a tropical fruit queen. I love pineapple and watermelon, mango, all the good stuff. However, freshly picked British blackberries, I think I would say actually are my number one. And it's just such a fun time to go picking, so I'm so excited. This means blackberry season is almost here, probably a few more weeks. I'll be able to come out with my basket and Tupperwares and start collecting. I'm actually going to make some different concoctions this year with my blackberries rather than just eating them all, which is always a very tempting thing to do. I'm really being called to make some blackberry medicinal alcohol, so fermenting it in the way that you would to make a wine or a spirit, but also infusing it with some other herbal medicinal plants. So when I come out and do the blackberry picking, I will call upon the forest for the guidance of the herbs and the plants that are in season, and infuse it with some medicinal values, because alcohol, when treated with respect and in right relation and used as a medicine, can be a really beautiful and powerful plant or drug or whatever you want to call it, to work with. And it's all about changing the relationship and the intention, right? I'm just gonna switch arms. I get achy arms from holding my phone. That's the one thing. Maybe I need to get a selfie stick for these wanderings and ponderings. So yes, I think I would be satisfied if the whole purpose of this conversation was to share my absolute utter joy and excitement over the fact that it is the start of blackberry season would be satisfying enough for me. But I thought that I would share a few bits and pieces. I had on Sunday the most magical and fabulous day. I'd already told the people that I live with that, you know, Sunday is the day that I'm carving out for myself. I don't want any human interaction or conversation. Like, I really, really need a day to be with myself and my own energy. And they really received that and respected that, which was beautiful. So I got up and had a slow morning and spent some time reading in bed, which is like literally one of my #1 self-care practices. Reading in bed with a favorite cup of something, some kind of potion or hot drink that I enjoy. And then I got dressed up in the most magical fairy dress that I could find in my wardrobe. It was really hot on Sunday as well, so it felt really nice for my body to be in this beautiful, floaty, feminine dress. I put some makeup on and I took myself out on this little date. And I just thought, where would I want to go on a date? Like, what would be my dream date? Oh, hold on a second. Pause that thought. I'm just going to show you this magical tree. No, not that one. This one. Look at those vines. What a beautiful tree. Sending you so much love and blessings, tree. I feel bad today. I didn't bring some offerings for the forest. So I'm going to send you love and blessings, and I will come back to give you some gifts. I'm actually exploring a new part of the forest today. So I'm sort of tiptoeing around to get a feel for the energy, but that is such a gorgeous tree. So anyway, going back to Sunday, I thought to myself, what would be like such a magical date if someone asked me out on a date? And if it was the summer, you know, I'd love to be taken out to the forest and just go on this like mystical adventure in the forest. So I thought, well, I'm going to take myself. So I went to the forest, and I'm really blessed and lucky where I live because there is just so much forest land and woods, and it's always so quiet because it's so vast around here. There is, wow, sorry, I've just seen another amazing tree. It's a little bit in the background. Right, I'm going to come back here and take you on a tour of the trees. That's a promise once I've got to know this part of the forest a bit better. Yeah, but there's so many mystical places where there's just no people walking around. And you probably can tell by the videos that I've been sharing with you so far. I'm never disturbed by anyone. So yeah, I feel super blessed and grateful to live here. So I went to this forest, which is a part of a private estate, but some of it is open so you can walk around it. And I found this amazing clearing in the forest, which was like off the path, and it just called me to it. This beautiful circle of trees. So I found a tree that I wanted to sit under, and of course I asked the permission of the tree, and I asked the tree if they would ever so kindly share some magic and some wisdom with me. And I sat down and I started doing my breathing meditation, which is where I set my intention and my prayers and protect my energy. And then I start doing this very, very, very slow, deep breathing so that I can just completely go inwards to the core of my heart. And it's amazing because when you do this in the forest, I find out in nature, you connect in so much more quickly. You know, you can get anchored in at a lightning bolt speed, you know, depending on your surroundings. And very quickly in this meditation, these sounds started coming out of me. First of all, it was just like a kind of like a sound healing vibration or frequency, like a hum, but slightly different to that. Wow, the trees here. Sorry, I'm getting so distracted today. This is my ADHD brain out in full force today. I just get so distracted by sexy trees. These sounds just started coming out of me. I have been really feeling the pull and the force within me to sing recently. But this was just like sounds just started coming out of me. And then I was just singing and making all of these noises and channeling the sounds and the spirits of the forest. And then Spirit was like, you need to record this so you can hear yourself and you can feel the frequency of this. So I did it, and then Spirit was like, yeah, now you also need to share it. So that was the video that I shared yesterday, and I faced a fear. For some reason, and I've kind of let go of the reason why now. Sometimes I think to face a fear and get over a fear, you just need to go for it. You don't need to attach always to the root cause of it if you can actually move forward from it. But for as far back as I can remember from childhood, I've had this real fear of singing in front of people. Like this fear of performing. I think that's the right way to label it. So yeah, I did it. So watch this space. Now that the seal has been broken, I can promise you I'll be sharing more singing. And what's really weird is that happened, and I had booked in for the next day a one-to-one singing lesson. It was my every 28 days I write down these lists of intentions, and at the moment these intentions are really like self-care things that I want to do, or actions that I choose to take in that 28-day cycle. And having a one-to-one voice coach and singing lesson was one of them, and I did it. So it's a little achievement that I want to share with you. And even that, that would have been the most terrifying thing for me to do in the past, because straight away on the singing lesson, he said to me, okay, just sing, like, let me hear your voice. And I would have been like, what do I do? But because I'd had that transmission and that opening in the forest the day before, which was totally spirit-led, I knew that I could do it. So if you ever feel like you're getting these nudges and these callings from within, and it's something that scares you, you got to start following it. Because Spirit is not going to quit. They're going to keep nudging you and budging you towards that one thing that scares you. Because once you face your fears, and you hear me talking a lot about fear and breaking free from fear and fear cycles, when you break free from fear, all of the fears, when you face these fears and break through from these fears, that's when you find freedom. And you might even find that you face a fear and it doesn't end up having to be something that you love, like singing. It could just literally be like public speaking or going somewhere on your own. We have so many of these little ingrained, deep-rooted fears which we don't realize have been stitched into the fabric of our being. And until we start cutting through them and facing those things and realizing that actually they don't have any power over our lives, until then we're not going to experience true freedom. But when you face those fears, that is when you start remembering your true essence, that freedom, that immortal, boundless spirit, yourself as a sovereign being. So I just wanted to encourage you. And like, I've done things that I'm not very good at as well, like improv comedy, because I feel I had this fear of like being put on the spot. There it is. That was the fear cycle, being put on the spot. And, if someone would ask me a question, I would freeze up and be like, oh, I need time and space to think about that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I actually think it's beautiful and wise sometimes to take our time to respond to things, but also it's like there is a skill and there is a freedom in being able to flow and improvise and just go with it with that unfuckwithable attitude towards it and not really caring what comes out. So yeah, I went to a few improv comedy classes, and that's where you just have to improvise in scenes with people that you've never met before. And it was hilarious and it was funny. I don't think I was any good at it at all, but the feeling of elevated confidence that I had in myself and like inspiration started pouring out of me after that, just purely because I'd faced a fear with like no other intention other than that. It healed me on a deep cellular level. So it's like doing things just for the sake of it, right? So we put so much pressure on ourselves to do a new course, to learn a skill so that we can elevate our business and earn more money and blah, 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 blah. But we actually cast aside the elevation and the growth of our own soul and the remembering of our own soul. And that's where the true gold is, the alchemizing of the fear into this immortal sovereignty and sense of boundless freedom. And that's that state, you know, when people talk about that they are filled with energy from source, it's because the fear has been removed. So all there is just this love and this authenticity and this boundless energy. And don't get me wrong, there's always going to be these times where we need to take a break and need to rest. But facing our fears is an incredible, incredible way of healing ourselves and actually being like, wow, I am so much braver than I thought. So I hope that helps. I think you can see how passionate I am about this, and I'm always here if you have any comments, if you have any feedback, if you want any support. I'm always here for you, sending you so much love. Have a beautiful, blessed day.